Hello everyone and welcome to my Y&R Insider 24 update channel. Claire is not on Kyle's mind. The Young and the Restless. This kiss here between Kyle and Audra did a lot of damage to Claire image, JPI. Kyle, Michael Mealer, doesn't have the best track record with women, and any new viewers of Y&R will quickly be able to figure out why. The most disgusting yelling match in recent memory occurred between Kyle and Audra, Zuleika Silva, and Claire's, Hayley Erin. Desire for space to find herself irked him once more. Now, while it could be argued that letting Claire go off and find herself is just letting Claire go and find herself with Holden, it is a bit beside the point. She wants to escape you and everything you've done, Kyle, and decide what she wants to do with her life. Instead of giving her the space to do so and reconciling with yourself about what you have done, Kyle thinks stalking her in LA is the best idea. What's the plan, Kyle? Shout it out with Holden, Nathan Owens, 2. The Young and the Restless. Kyle and Audra have an ugly shouting match image, JPI. Additionally, viewers and fans have expressed their displeasure with Kyle's current actions on the Soap Central message boards. What they have to say is as follows. Kyle thinks stalking Claire in LA is going to win her back. The Young and the Restless. The infamous train towel incident, image, JPI. Regular contributor Sweet7 wrote, "What is wrong with Kyle? Does he really hope going to LA will make Claire want to be with him?" She tried to explain that she needed to find herself, but he was so mean to her and didn't listen. What is he going to do? Convince Claire to let him take her around LA instead of Holden? I can only see this going sideways. Holden and Claire will get mad at Kyle, who will say what? If Kyle had any sense, he'd wait in GC and talk to Claire after she had calmed down from their last encounter. Instead, he is going to make Claire angrier, and he is going to completely torpedo any chances for mending his relationship with Claire down the road. Zorigonian said it best with, why? Exactly why? First, he proposes marriage. Take one step. Then he wants to whisk her off to France, scene of the towel makeout session. Strike 2. Follow her to LA. That's 3. You're out, Kyle. Kyle doing it again, gaining friends and having an impact. Image courtesy of JPI valued contributor Cloverleaf agreed, I know. It completely perplexes the mind. And if I have to listen to Kyle say that he will do whatever it takes one more time, I might have to pull out the TV brick. What I would like to see is a very dramatic scene between Claire and Kyle. I want to see her accuse him of stalking her when she asked for space. Then I want her to tell him he doesn't love her, he just wants to control her. Then Claire finally declares her freedom from the likes of Kyle Abbott. Holden takes Claire away while he stands there. I want this. Make it happen. The Young and the Restless has always thrived on the delicate dance between love, obsession, and redemption, and few characters embody that tug-of-war as painfully as Kyle Abbott. The handsome, impulsive son of Jack Abbott has inherited not just his father's business sense but also his talent for romantic self-sabotage. In this chapter of Kyle's unraveling life, the emotional wreckage he leaves in his wake is felt most deeply by Claire Grace. The woman who thought she could heal him and believed in his potential now finds herself at the center of a storm she never asked for. Kyle isn't thinking clearly. Worse, he isn't thinking at all. The story begins with a kiss, not just any kiss, but that kiss, the one between Kyle and Audra Charles. It seemed inevitable to some. To others, it was unforgivable. For Claire, it was devastating. That brief, passionate, and reckless moment between two people whose chemistry was always tainted by ulterior motives did more than damage Claire's trust. It fractured her sense of safety in the relationship. There has been simmering tension between Kyle and Audra for a long time, but when it finally surfaced, it was not romantic, rather, it was destructive. Their raucous, humiliating, and embarrassing shouting match took place in the open. Genoa City residents and millions of viewers saw a man unravel before their eyes, projecting his insecurities and failures onto the one person who once believed in his capacity to change. The effects of the kiss when Kyle and Audra clashed. It wasn't just a fight about jealousy or miscommunication, it was a mirror reflecting Kyle's deepest fears. He can't take losing control. He cannot accept rejection without trying to assert dominance. His pattern with women has been consistent for years. Chase, charm, control, combust. From Lola to Summer, and now Claire, Kyle's emotional impulsivity continues to define his downfall. The argument that followed between him and Audra revealed not only his desperation but also his blindness. Audra, sharp-tongued and unapologetic, reminded him of every insecurity he tries to bury, that he's a spoiled Abbott boy, that his relationships crumble because he cannot separate love from possession. When Claire overheard parts of that argument, her decision to take space wasn't impulsive. It was survival. Claire's words to Kyle before leaving Genoa City were simple, almost heartbreakingly so. "I need space, Kyle. I need to find myself again, away from all of this." What she didn't say out loud was what everyone could see: being with Kyle had started to suffocate her. Kyle's erroneous plan. Kyle did what he does best, acted impulsively rather than rationally, defying Claire's wishes. He convinced himself that chasing her to Los Angeles was an act of love, not obsession. In his mind, he's fighting for her. To viewers, however, it's painfully transparent that Kyle isn't fighting for love, he's fighting for control. He tells Jack, "I can't just let her walk away, Dad. Not like this." Jack, ever the voice of weary wisdom, warns him that sometimes the best way to hold on to someone is to let them go. But Kyle can't hear it. His pride is too loud. His ego is too bruised. He packs a bag, checks the next flight to LA, and mutters those infamous last words every doomed soap hero says before his next fall: "I'll do whatever it takes." The problem is, whatever it takes in Kyle Abbott's dictionary usually means manipulation, confrontation, and chaos. Fans on message boards immediately exploded with frustration. Longtime posters like Sweep7 and Cloverleaf on Soap Central said what many people were thinking: Kyle's obsession isn't romantic, it's reckless. Does he really think showing up in LA after humiliating her is going to make her want to be with him? Penned by one fan. Another lamented, "If I have to hear him say whatever it takes again, I might throw a brick at my TV." In all honesty, they are correct. Kyle's pursuit of Claire isn't a love story, it's a cautionary tale. The LA confrontation. Claire, meanwhile, has been adjusting to her new environment in Los Angeles with surprising grace. She's spending time with Holden, an old friend whose steady presence contrasts sharply with Kyle's volatility. Holden represents everything Kyle isn't: calm, patient, grounded. It's not that Claire is romantically involved with him yet, but rather that he provides the emotional safety net she desperately needs. When Kyle finally tracks her down, perhaps outside a cozy coffee shop in Santa Monica or during a quiet afternoon stroll, the scene plays out with heartbreaking intensity. Claire freezes when she sees him. There's disbelief first, then anger, then that inevitable mix of sadness and exhaustion that only someone who has loved too deeply can feel. "Kyle, what are you doing here?" she asks, her voice trembling more from restraint than fear. "I came to see you." "To talk," he says, acting as if showing up unannounced across state lines is a common devotional act. "You weren't supposed to follow me," Claire replies. "I asked for space. You didn't respect that." Kyle insists that he had to see her, that he couldn't let her slip away, but Claire sees through him. "You don't love me, Kyle," she says finally, voice breaking. "You just don't want to lose control." It's the moment every viewer who has watched their toxic dance play out has been waiting for. The tables turn, and Claire, once the girl in love with the idea of saving him, becomes the woman who saves herself. Holden arrives just in time to draw attention to the emotional divide. He doesn't have to say much, his calm presence alone is enough to highlight Kyle's volatility. As Kyle realizes that he is not the story's hero, the camera stays on his face. This time, no. Kyle's third strike. How the fans react. The fan community has dubbed this Kyle's third strike. The first was the impulsive proposal, born out of guilt rather than genuine readiness. The second was his tone-deaf suggestion to whisk Claire away to France, the same place where the infamous towel incident with Audra took place. His decision to accompany Claire to Los Angeles is the third and most unforgivable. As Zorigonian wrote online, first he proposes marriage. Strike one. Then he wants to take her to France alone. Second try. Follow her to LA. There are three. You're out, Kyle. These remarks aren't just joking. Rather, they show how tired fans who have watched Kyle spiral for years are. He has become a study in the effects of immaturity, privilege, and unresolved trauma on relationships and self-perception. Viewers have long wanted to see growth in Kyle, a moment of introspection where he finally recognizes that love isn't about control, and forgiveness isn't earned through grand gestures but through change. The psychology behind Kyle's spiral. Why is Kyle acting this way? Soap psychologists and armchair analysts alike have theories. Some point to his upbringing, the constant push and pull between Jack and Diane, the emotional instability of his childhood, and his need to prove himself as a worthy abbot. Others see narcissistic tendencies. Kyle believes he's entitled to the women he loves, that his passion is proof of sincerity, even when it crosses into obsession. When Kyle says "I'll do whatever it takes," he's really saying "I'll do whatever it takes to avoid feeling powerless." It's not about Claire, it's about him. It's about that inner boy who never knew whether or not he was good enough. In contrast, Claire has emerged as one of the most quietly compelling characters in Y&R. Once introduced as a somewhat reserved young woman with a troubled past, she's blossomed into a symbol of resilience. Her decision to step away from Kyle isn't weakness, it's strength. It sends a message to the audience that love shouldn't ruin your peace. The Audra factor. Audra, ever the wildcard, adds another layer of complexity to this story. Her connection with Kyle has always been electric but toxic. Their relationship feeds off chaos. Audra knows how to push Kyle's buttons, and she enjoys it. After their explosive fight, she likely spins her own narrative, painting Kyle as the unhinged ex who can't move on. Kyle's impulsiveness is a weapon that Audra can use to her advantage when dealing with someone as manipulative as herself. Imagine her smirking when she learned that Kyle went with Claire to Los Angeles. She says, either to Nikki or to herself, "Of course he did." Kyle Abbott, predictable as ever. Her words drip with venom, but there's a sliver of truth. Kyle's downfall is always his inability to anticipate consequences. Jack Abbott's dilemma. Back in Genoa City, Jack watches helplessly as his son repeats the same mistakes he once made with Diane, Phyllis, and countless others. Jack is too familiar with the pattern: grand gestures, emotional outbursts, and regret. He confides in Diane, who, ironically, has the most level-headed take on the situation. He's chasing something he doesn't understand, she tells Jack. He's not in love with Claire, he's in love with the idea of fixing himself through her. Jack sighs, realizing that sometimes, the only way for a man to grow is to lose everything he thought mattered. Claire's breakthrough of freedom when Claire finally confronts Kyle one last time, perhaps on a sunlit pier or outside a gallery in downtown LA, the moment is cinematic. She maintains her composure, self-assurance, and emotional resolve. "I cared about you, Kyle. In a way, I still do," she begins. "But caring about someone doesn't mean you should lose yourself trying to fix them. I'm done trying." Kyle tries to interrupt, to plead, to justify, but Claire stops him. "You don't get to tell me what I need. You have no say over when I'm ready to talk. This was my space, and you invaded it." Then, as Holden gently takes her hand, Claire delivers the line that fans on the message boards have been craving. "You don't love me, Kyle. You just don't want to be alone." The silence that follows is deafening. For the first time, Kyle doesn't have a comeback. No snark, no grand apology. Just silence. He watches as Claire leaves, her future unfolding ahead of her without him. The fallout, Kyle's reckoning. Back in Genoa City, Kyle returns defeated. His trip to LA not only failed to win Claire back but also further alienated him from his family. Summer, Lola, and even Audra have all warned him about this pattern, but it's only now that he begins to understand. He sits in the Abbott mansion, staring at the family portrait, realizing how far he's fallen from the man he thought he was. There's a haunting symmetry in this arc. Years ago, it was Summer who walked away from Kyle after his betrayal. Now it's Claire. And yet, Kyle still doesn't fully grasp why history keeps repeating itself. But maybe this time, the pain will finally make him listen. A story of self-destruction and second chances. The cyclical storytelling of love, betrayal, heartbreak, and redemption has always been the young and the restless greatest strength. Kyle's latest arc is not just a romantic misstep, it's an existential reckoning. He must learn that obsession isn't passion, that control isn't commitment, and that love, real love, means letting go. Kyle must confront himself in the mirror and decide what kind of man he wants to be as Claire begins to rebuild her life in Los Angeles, possibly with Holden's quiet encouragement. Will he finally break free from the Abbott curse of emotional chaos, or is he doomed to repeat it forever? The fans, for their part, are divided. A more mature and self-aware Kyle returning to win Claire's heart in the right way is still a possibility for some people years down the road. Others want Claire to move on entirely, to find peace and happiness without looking back. One thing is certain, regardless of the outcome, Kyle's journey is far from over. Claire, on the other hand, has every right to withdraw until he begins to really think.